we chatted about it on our emergency podcast at the end of last week, but Bernard Laporte has now confirmed that Fabien Galthie did leave the France bubble, but apparently to watch his son play rugby and in the immediate aftermath of the Italy game in round one. He says he wore a mask. He was sensible. Is that the definitive version of events? I mean, there's an investigation, but what do we make of that?
Apparently, it is. It is not apparently. It is the definite. What did you say? Thing of events or whatever. But because there were people there watching. You have to remember that France is not in full lockdown. So some shopping malls are closed, but kids still go to school. There's obviously restrictions everywhere. Don't get me wrong, but it's not full lockdown. So was it the most outrageous thing to do, considering he's outside, he's wearing a mask? I hope he didn't kiss and hug and touch anyone. Okay. It wasn't basically the most outrageous thing to do and the most dangerous thing to do. Okay. Was it within the regulation of the bubble? Yes or no? That's the only issue that I've got with it. He didn't, go out and not think of himself and this and that. But can the players go out on a Sunday to go enjoy a game and have see their mates and say hello even from a distance? Can they go back and see their families? The players who are in Marcoussis at the moment, some of them play for Stade Français, Gaël Ficou, some of them play for Racing. They could just jump in a cab and go home and say hello and have a coffee with mates. They don't do it. So that's the whole idea behind it. Is did he do it? Yes or no? Was it in the regulation? Yes or no? And then why not come out with it clean straight away? And I have a feeling that because people were watching, because there's no way around it, the cover-up is just not possible. So that's the only reason why the truth has come out.
I think that's the bit that sticks for everyone though, Benji, is the cover-up element. So obviously, Galthie and Laporte are really tight, really, really tight. Like Fabien's talked about how his career has been bound to Bernard's through his career, and he owes him a lot. But that's the bit that sticks for me, is that Bernard on the heads have come out and said, look, it's been a prepa physique, or it's been something to do with the sevens team. I've spoken to Fabien. He did absolutely nothing wrong. I trust him. End of story. Then he has to go on the TV this weekend and say, actually, people were there. It's been corroborated. Yes, Fabien was watching the game with Thomas Lombard. Not a big deal. He had a mask on. He was watching his son play rugby. So it's the little bits of, if they are white lies or there's little bits of misinformation, where does that end? Is it definitive? Yes or no? We say yes, they've accepted that for now, but are other things going to come out that might be more drastic?
Can I ask you a question? Do you think he brought it inside the bubble? Number one.
No idea, mate.
Do you think he should be sacked?
No.
So I think basically in both things is precisely what you said. We don't want massive sanctions. Bloody hell, he's doing a fantastic job. I want to stay there. I want him to stay in position, but admit it, just like you said, admit it from the start. No cover-ups, no half-truth.
Yeah. But the problem with that is I don't want him to be sacked. He's a fantastic coach. Yeah. There's two different layers to it. The first layer is there's a game to be played, there's loads of money at stake, and there's a Grand Slam on the line for France. If it's, said that he's disrespected the rules, whatever protocol was, it's 28-0 for Scotland. I'm not sure what the committee will decide in the end, but that's the first thing that has to be fought over, really. The second part is Fabien's been very clear in, look, we're a tidy team with our image, with our way that we live, with our respect and protocols. And then there's like a sort of trust. Well, like if he doesn't trust it and he's the top of our tree, do we have as much faith in him as a playing group? I think they probably will, but there will still be questions because at the minute he's been unbreakable. He's been unbelievable and the team's absolutely flying. But will there be little cracks in relationships? Have things been said behind doors that we don't see, we're not aware of, that could affect the way the dynamics go of the French national team over the next 6-7 months? Which I think those are two fairly important things that we're going to have to, it'll take time to be worked out. But those for me are the two biggest things that are going to come out over the next couple of months.
I couldn't agree more with what you said about the sense that he's laid out a very important, drastic, fully commitment, strict protocol in terms of either you are 150% with the French team or you're not. Yeah, so that I agree with you. That will have some consequences. It can shine negatively on the players. It can have an impact. It will have to be digested from within. Can it cause, like a strain on the trust, like from the management side to the players? I agree with you. The only thing that I don't agree is that you said if there's been a breach of protocol, Scotland should win. They do not have a protocol. Sorry, the French team does not have, or all the teams in Six Nations don't have a protocol with Six Nations. The French team have got a protocol with the Minister of Sport of France, who said, if you don't respect this protocol, we will not allow you to travel. So actually, I don't think, unless I'm wrong, but I don't think that any of those Six Nations teams said, if one of the teams doesn't respect the protocol, they will basically, put us in jeopardy and then they will lose. I don't think that was signed between the teams. But that's the reality of things, is that it's the first time in French sport that 6 weeks ago, the Minister of Sport said, you guys are not allowed to play Champions Cup and Challenge Cup because we don't want any travel. And they said, I'm not sure we will allow you to play Six Nations. Right, fine. We will give you a dérogation. Don't know how you call that, but like a special authorization to travel, because we've accepted your protocole sanitaire and all the restrictions that you put and your sanitary bubble that you've created for the Six Nations, right? And that's when the Minister of Sport came out and said, I want to report, so I want to know exactly what happened. And they asked Bernard Laporte, so Florian Grill and all the other guys, they can yell as much as they want. It's still the Minister of Sport that asked Bernard Laporte, and Bernard Laporte is conducting it. Was it the best question to do in terms of authenticity of the answer? I don't know. Okay, but that's what she asked for. And then she said, I've given the authorization. I can always take it away. So that's the real risk that there is, that the consequences of what could have happened, of Fabien, not Fabien, of taking the decisions of taking the sevens guy into the team, taking decisions of taking the under 20s guys within the squad, with the risk of a negative test being actually positive the next day and all those things. That's the reality, is that next week, the Minister of Sport, depending on what she sees on that report, can be like, right, you guys have basically took me for a fool. I've granted you my a special authorization because I thought you're going to be very thorough in the respect of this protocol. It was not the case. You guys are not playing the rest of the Six Nations. That's the reality of what can happen.
And now we know that Fabien did leave the bubble. I know we can argue the rights and wrongs of the bubbles, but we know he did go to watch his son play. Do you think that's a realistic possibility that could happen, Benji, that they could be stopped by the Minister of Sport from playing the rest of the tournament?
To be honest, I have no idea. And that's one tough decision to make, because just like Johnny said, there's a Grand Slam on the line. So there's also what the Grand Slam is not just for the coaching staff and the players. It's also, it puts a smile on everybody's face in France, So at the same time, she's got that responsibility, but she's got a responsibility. I'm assuming that you all have superiors, right? And if the French president is like, listen, everybody says that we're idiots and we're looking like fools because we're not respecting the protocol. What have you done? And, she takes that blame and then, passes it on and all that. So I don't believe it's the worst thing in the world that he's done, because we're all humans. He did wear a mask. We're outside. Okay. But was he allowed? Yes or no? It's not even a question of what did he do. Was it allowed? Yes or no? And what pisses me off, as like Johnny said, is did we get an answer? Even from him, he didn't. They asked him basically, did you go out during that week? And he said, everything I did was part of the protocol. He didn't answer yes or no. He just said, everything was part of the protocol. So it's that sort of not really answering the questions, sort of snakish attitude that I don't like.
And so to add to that, Benji, another bit is that, so the French boys admitted as well this week that they went out for crepes or
waffles
in Rome as well. They went out for waffles. It's now turned from Bubblegate to Wafflegate. Like, it's never ending. So look, there's been lots of little trips out to do this and that and the next thing, but there has to be a definitive answer from somebody. Yes or no? Is it in protocol? Is it not? Are you allowed to do it? Are you not? And then if no, there's going to be sanctions. But like you said, Benji, how high does it go? So look, France are hosting a 2023 World Cup in 2 years' time. If they, like, as high as it can go, a sports minister is not going to embarrass the French national rugby team and pull them from a Six Nations. There's no way. I think it's in their interest as well not to look stupid. There's so much to look forward to. There's so much excitement around that tournament. Well, the team right now, the team is absolutely flying, absolutely no doubt, but also building towards a 2023 World Cup. They've announced their first fixture is going to be against the All Blacks in the first game. There is so much on the line in terms of reputation and how they build towards this tournament in 2 years' time that there's no way I honestly can't see them pulling them out of the competition, because it would just be a humiliation for everybody. And I think Six Nations is already a global tournament, but to humiliate yourself like that before you host a tournament in 2023, I can't see it happening. No way.